What's up, everybody? Welcome to the post bracket reveal Sansom Sports Media podcast. We're your hosts, Hunter and Michael. Just wanted to come on here and kind of give our initial thoughts. We're not necessarily going to make true picks right now, but come on here, give our initial thoughts to the bracket, thoughts on how the committee did. Last year, we spent 45 minutes complaining about the committee. This year, I don't think we're going to have to do that. Mike, first initial thoughts of the bracket. My look, I think they did very well. They got the teams in I expected they should have. I'm very glad they kept Auburn out at 17 and 16. Oklahoma, they honored their run. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I have very few gripes. I usually have a lot more than that. I will say, um, you know, Duke being the overall number one, and this seems to happen every year with the way that the geography works, but they don't get the Dayton 16 seed. They get Siena, who some thought it might have been a 15. And a fairly tough, Ohio State TCU isn't exactly a picnic. You could argue that Florida, as the fourth number one seed, got an even easier region.
You could argue that, but at the same time, you get to, I don't know, let's say like 2 games, 3 games out, and it's much more difficult. I mean, having Florida and Vanderbilt on the same side there, having Nebraska there, Clemson and Iowa. I mean, Iowa's streaky. They've competed with like the Michigans and the Purdue's. And then you have Houston. So, yeah, your path might be a little easier to get to the Elite Eight, but I think I would rather go through UConn than I would go through Houston.
I do think it's kind of cool that you've got the two teams that played for the national championship last year as the 1 and 2 seed in the same region.
Absolutely, yeah.
I picked up on that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought my only qualm, I think, with the committee was, and this is more of not even a committee issue, this is a issue with how they presented it. Miami of Ohio was announced as the last team in. They were not the last team selected in.
Right.
They are the last team by way of seed because they were scrubbed down. Keith Gill did get on and confirm that after, but I know most people stop watching after that gets released. So I did want to say Miami was selected exactly where I thought they would be, maybe team 40 or so on the bracket there, right on the 11 line. But they were not the last team in. I did want to clarify that because there were some people already angry about that one.
And you do believe him that he wasn't just saying that so people wouldn't have been upset about, Yeah,
I do. I think they relied very heavily, we talked a little bit offline, on WAB and some of these resume metrics to help seed the field. And Keith even said, we use the resume metrics to get the selection, and then we seed a lot more lenient on predictives. They followed that through a lot with some of these seedings. Florida over UConn, Florida over Houston. Both of those were predictive driven. I like that.
And, Louisville seated a little higher, and I think they were kind of rewarded a little bit for the ACC's improvement this year.
Yeah.
Last year, they were seated down as an 8 or whatever it was because they didn't really have a lot of quality wins, and the league was down. This year, it was higher up. They didn't have a ton of quality wins this year either.
They were especially almost the spitting image of
yeah. But they got a 6 seed this year. In the fun matchup against South Florida.
I mean, that's not an easy draw, but I will say this year's 6 through 9 seeds are much weaker than last year's 6 through 9 seeds are. So, yeah, they got bumped up a little bit compared to last year, but I think that's partially due to just how weak that area is compared to last year's field.
I mean, Nova had 1 win over a team that made the tournament, which was Wisconsin, and they got an 8 seed.
Yep.
They basically were treated almost like a Santa Clara or a St. Mary's from the WCC.
Yep. They kept a very clean resume, and the Big East got the WCC treatment, which helped Villanova. Because honestly, Utah State, I had them picked over Nova, so I am very surprised that we did see that.
I was surprised to see Utah State up to the 9 line, or that did surprise me. I thought they might have been on the 10 line.
Yep.
I was wondering if they were going to want to put San Diego State in the field to give the Mountain West a second team, but we talked about this before. The only thing that they had was they were second place in a pretty good league. They just didn't beat anyone good other than Utah State once.
It's not like they ran through the league. I mean, you had the Grand Canyons, the Nevadas, and these teams that weren't good enough to be in the field that are solid. So they were able to really take advantage of that. I didn't think there was enough. I was really impressed with Oklahoma this weekend. I hate they came up short. They probably did need to beat Arkansas, and they would have been in. But it happens. I mean, all you can do is try.
Too little, too late.
Exactly. But they did at least show them, hey, we were considering it. Which compared to 22 A&M, I'll take that they were at least considering it.
Yeah.
I hope the committee. This is the new standard for the committee overall, and I hope that they can take this and run with it.
Yeah.
Now, other than that, Auburn and Oklahoma were your first teams out. Indiana and San Diego State, I think, were the next two there with them.
Yep. I was interested that Indiana was, that close. We didn't hear a Stanford or a Cal mention at all. Nothing about Seton Hall. So none of those were that close. Yeah.
Everybody kept asking if Seton Hall could make a run, and I was just like, I don't think so. It was just too little, too late.
They never run.
Exactly.
This was the first year that a lot of us were able to project all the teams getting into the field. And the biggest thing you had to remember was, at least for me anyway, Texas beating NC State.
Yep.
Because if you were putting NC State in the field, you almost had to put Texas in the field too.
Texas get into the field, especially
because Texas beat them in non-conference play. Yep. And then SMU's injury issue.
Yep.
When BJ Edwards went down, they had like a 2.0 wins above bubble. That's pretty significant.
Absolutely.
And yes, now the fun part is BJ Edwards actually healthy enough to actually play now?
Yeah.
And there's no way to have a team prove that they are. There's no physical.
And you have to just go with what you're told.
Right, exactly.
There's no double checking.
Right.
And there's no reason to not say that. If you're SMU, you have
Yep.
to go say, hey, he's going to be available. Because if not, that's Oklahoma's spot probably.
Yep. Or Auburn's, however they want to do it.
I think Oklahoma was first, so I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Pulling up some regions here. We'll start with Duke up in the East region. Sorry it cut off the 15 seed, but that 15 is Furman. And then they get UConn. With this, what's your biggest game that you're looking forward to outside of the 8-9 matchup, which is the easy answer in this region? Any upset picks stand out or anything like that?
I think South Florida's got a shot against Louisville.
I agree.
I don't know that I see UCF beating UCLA the way both teams are kind of playing down the stretch. I was surprised to see Northern Iowa up to the 12 line. I guess with Yale losing.
Yeah, everybody lost, and you and I, they were my 13 coming in this morning, and when Yale lost, they jumped up to that 12 spot.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting game. Yeah. St. John's is playing better now. I don't know. But, Louisville, South Florida, I could see an upset there for sure.
Same. I thought North Dakota State was a 13, not a 14. So them getting put there and having to play Michigan State. Again, it's like the Duke and Siena mentioned. It's not necessarily game-changing, but it's something at least like that's a little tougher of a matchup for Michigan State than I was expecting.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But other than that, this region screams Duke for me. I don't know that UConn. I really hope that we get UCLA and UConn to play because Mick Cronin and Dan Hurley on the sidelines against each other.
Oh man, will either one make it through the game?
No, both getting tossed at each other.
Yeah,
but that would be really fun to watch. But I mean, maybe St. John's, if they can keep that level of play up, gives Duke a run. But this feels like Duke's region to win.
It does.
And it's not that I think that Duke's head over heels just that much better going to run through everybody, even though they are the best team in the country. It's just kind of the way it shakes out, if I'm being honest.
The injuries is a bit of concern, though. But I don't know who's going to exploit it in this region. Kansas just does not look like Kansas.
Exactly. That's the thing. I don't trust Kansas. St. John's is up and down, and especially if Duke can keep the interior controlled, I think St. John's struggles. Louisville could be an interesting matchup, but Duke took care of Louisville twice. What's to say they won't do it a third time?
And they have to get to the Elite Eight to play them.
Exactly. Yeah. And then UConn, of course, picking against UConn is a dangerous game. Dan Hurley knows how to coach. He knows how to get these guys ready. And UConn, despite not looking great throughout the year, has played up and down to their competition a lot. So definitely a chance they could make some noise.
Michigan State, UConn would be a pretty spicy regional too.
Agreed. All right, keeping it moving here. We're going to move to Arizona's region. Arizona was the 2 overall seed. I do want to call out in this region, you have Arizona who jumped Michigan, which
Yep.
was a decision today. And then you had Purdue that jumped Michigan State on that 3 line there.
Both
of those
correct decisions.
were today. Both of those were the correct decisions. I actually flipped both. Well, I didn't flip Arizona and Michigan because it doesn't matter for my purposes, but I'm glad the committee did it. And I'm glad that I flipped Purdue and Michigan State as I was submitting to the bracket matrix at 550. Very impressed with the committee for doing that. Good job. That being said, Nova and Utah State, we already talked about a little bit. I think that'll be a really fun matchup. I do like Utah State if Calhoun is still bought in mentally. I'm worried that he's starting to look for other jobs. Maybe he transitions on a little early. Nova comes ready to play. Things get ugly.
I like Arizona in this region.
Same. I will say a lot of talk about Gonzaga being
a 3.
A 3. I like they do it every year. They treat Gonzaga a little different than they do power conferences, just like we talked about with the Villanova
right
doing that WCC treatment. Gonzaga, you have to because they're not playing enough games.
And they did beat Alabama and
Exactly.
UCLA. If they don't win one of those, maybe Alabama's a 3 and Gonzaga's a 4.
Exactly. And last year we saw teams like Gonzaga with crazy predictives get dropped down to 8 or 9 seeds because of that. Like it's not that they want to unfavorably give them help. It's that they earned it. So I thought that was good. I think BYU Gonzaga could be a great matchup. However, I think I like NC State to come out and beat BYU there.
BYU with their injury issues.
Yep.
It's been a concern. And they've struggled even to beat, well, I guess those aren't top teams yet, but, top teams even when they were healthy.
Exactly.
Gonzaga has a great chance to maybe play Arizona, but Purdue it's going to be interesting to get past them.
Yeah. Purdue, if they play like they did this week in the Big Ten tournament, they're going to be borderline unbeatable. They're like a 1 seed. But they've lost, 5 times at Mackey? They just so up and down. Like UConn, it's the same situation as UConn run into. They up and down all over the place.
And Missouri has shown the capability to be able to beat a Purdue. Now, They could also lose to Miami anyway, and it won't matter. But
Mizzou's going to be a big question mark and a potential upset pick. I will say that Wisconsin High Point game we kind of glossed over. That is going to be the first one to 90 points wins. It's going to be nothing but offense, and it'll be March Madness viewing. So make sure you lock into that one. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who to pick there. That'll be a fun matchup. It's probably going to get a lot of people picking that 12 split.
Nice to see Hawaii back in the tournament, playing Arkansas. Can Cal get past the first round? That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Should be an interesting. I like the bracket. It should be some really fun games throughout.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Keeping it moving. We're going to move down to the Michigan region. So this is 3rd overall seed. This is our Midwest regional. I will be there for the Sweet 16 Elite 8 for this. Pretty excited with some of these teams. There's teams like Kentucky, Tennessee, but then you've got like Iowa State, Michigan, Texas Tech, Alabama. There's, just absolutely loaded region here. You've got Miami of Ohio and SMU down there in that play-in game. Really excited to get to see them play. I think it'll be on Wednesday night. Should be really interesting. Very excited.
That's kind of brutal to try and get out of the first round. SMU, is beatable, but then Tennessee, that's tough right away. I don't know about that one. I'd like to see it.
I don't know. I'd argue that the contrasting styles there would be really fun. Tennessee leans a little bit more into their defense. Miami a little bit more, or a lot more into their offense. That'll be a fun matchup. I'm not so sure that that's a terrible game. I think SMU would get beat by Tennessee, though.
Tech versus Akron is going to be interesting. That could be Akron may score some points, but it'll be interesting to see Akron's offense against Texas Tech defense.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if Christian Anderson, who has been reported as healthy, is actually healthy. That'll be a big storyline as well.
I'm going to be very in between Michigan and Iowa State to get to the Final Four.
I agree. I don't know. I could see Alabama or even a Virginia. I think Virginia is under the radar because they haven't played a ton of teams, but they just played Duke tough. I think they can do it. So this one feels a little bit more open to me. And I'm really hoping it'd be awesome if Miami of Ohio made a run. But at the same time, if I got 1, 2, 3, and 4 in Chicago, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. And Alabama, who knows? They're good enough to beat Michigan.
Absolutely. I would take Bama or Texas Tech. You don't even have to give me a 4. You give me 1, 2, 3, and 5. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, this is going to be interesting. Locally, Kentucky, Wright State, Miami, all in this region. This will be a heavily crucified region from a local standpoint. I do like Kentucky's draw against Santa Clara. I think that'll be a fun game. Probably leaning Kentucky, but it'll be good. Wright State, I don't like your matchup with Virginia there. I'm sorry. And then Miami of Ohio, I already mentioned. I think you could win a game or two here.
I think Akron has a chance to get to Chicago, but they probably need an upset too. It's a big ask to ask them to get past Tech and Bama.
If they had Tech or Bama and they were going to draw like a 6 Tennessee instead, I might go with that. But
right.
I don't think they're going to do that with the 4 and 5 there.
I agree.
All right, final region here. Initial thoughts. Florida, Houston, obviously love that they're in the same region here. Clearly the best two teams. They needed to be there. What are your thoughts? Clemson, Iowa, North Carolina, VCU, all really fun games. St. Mary's, Texas A&M, also a really fun matchup.
Remember what I said about Akron having a tough road to get to a Sweet 16, having to get through Tech and Bama? This is if you want to put a 12 or a 13 into the Sweet 16, this is the one to do it, in my opinion.
And then Vanderbilt comes out and hits 900 shots.
Yeah, I know that, but
I'm just going to throw that out there.
I know.
Yeah, Vandy and Nebraska are very beatable if they're not on their A game, which has not always been the case for them this year. So it's a very open bracket, to say the least.
Illinois is going to play against a coach they're familiar with, Fran McCaffrey and Penn, getting in as Yale decided to not foul up 3 in the final seconds of regulation in the Ivy League tournament game.
That was terrible. TJ Power has 40 points. You foul him. That end of discussion.
I don't know why you just don't come up and just foul him. It looked like the defender was obviously scared about potentially fouling him shooting the 3.
Yeah.
I get that.
But also, you can't do what you did. I'm going to be.
You know how hard it is to hit 3 game-tying free throws down 3 with your season on the line, too?
Exactly. There can't be higher pressure shots than those. And you're just going to let him take a 3. Granted, it wasn't an easy 3.
If you want to know how much pressure those kind of free throws are, look back at an old tape of Louisville versus Memphis in a 2005 Conference USA Conference Championship game. Down 2, 3 to win, 2 to tie, makes the first and then misses the second with all the pressure on.
Yeah.
But anyways, it'll be an interesting matchup. I expect Illinois to win that. I think VCU is going to pull the upset against UNC.
I don't hate the pick. I struggle picking against UNC. They're actually pretty solid this year.
But I think Illinois gets past VCU anyway, if they do. And I think they get past UNC, even though it's in Greenville.
That'll be interesting. And for everybody talking about protected seeds and all of this, the only thing that protected seeds get you is that first game, the game that you are seeing right here. So Illinois is not going to be a geographical disadvantage to Penn. It has nothing to do with any of the remaining games. If North Carolina and Illinois have to play in Greenville, I'm sorry, it sucks. It happens every single year, and it's typically one of the either Virginias or North Carolina or Duke or somebody like that, or maybe even a Florida, who get paired into a region where they're going to be at an advantage as a lower seed. It happens. It's just it's because all these games are on the Eastern Coast.
And Illinois, you did this to yourself. Twice against Wisconsin, you had double-digit leads in the games you played and lost both of them.
Exactly.
Win either one, you're a 2 seed. Win them both. Maybe we're talking about them with Florida, Houston for a 1 seed. I don't know, but
at least it would be possible. But you lost the games. You got to take what you can get.
They haven't even looked that good down the stretch. They struggled to beat Maryland.
Ever since Boswell got hurt and then came back, it's just kind of been up and down, a little bit of a roller coaster.
I don't expect them to get past Houston.
No.
I don't know what I'm going to do if I get Florida and Houston to the Elite Eight. What I'm going to do there yet?
It'll be tough
because I haven't loved this Houston team all year long, but they're still a 2 seed and a good team.
And they almost beat Arizona.
Right? Yeah.
Despite trailing by 13 or 14, so their offense isn't even their issue this year. It's just they're just good, and they played in the Big 12, which is the best conference in basketball.
Easily, above the Big Ten, even above the Big 10.
Easily above the Big 10. Right now it's the Big 12, and then the Big 10 and the SEC, and then the ACC, and then the Big East. Maybe right followed by the Mountain West, but I'd probably go Big East and then Mountain West. The WCC is getting gutted, so I'm not including them. A10 actually had a very good year, like you mentioned, Mike. You predicted it from the start that they could get 2 or 3 bids in, and they got 2. And realistically, they probably had Dayton 1, should have gotten a 3rd bid because I thought VCU should be at least considered. But
apparently not.
The committee confirmed that would not have happened. VCU also had a ton of opportunities to go win against tournament teams and couldn't get it done.
And didn't do it.
So that's on them. Mountain West going to be a little different as well next year with the Pac-12 coming back. I would expect the WAC, which is Cal Baptist this year, to kind of go away after this year, and I don't know that they're going to return at all. So That's something to keep an eye on. The Big West, Big Sky are both going to improve, and the Pac-12 is going to be back out at our premier conference starting next year.
Yeah.
What other thoughts, questions, comments do you have? Anything on the bracket? Last year we rambled for like 50 minutes complaining about the committee. This year, I genuinely don't have to do that. I'm very happy with what they did.
I mean, we can talk about certain things. Miami's a little higher than maybe I thought they might have been. Missouri's about where I thought they would be, but
Yeah, I agree.
I would have liked to have seen Miami, Ohio not be in Dayton, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
I agree. One thing I want to note, and I'll note it here, but I'll probably note it a couple other times. You talk to all the bracketologists, you see all of these different Paymon scores come up and everything like that. That is basically how teams are graded, or how bracketologists are graded for selection. You get 3 points for selecting a team into the field. So both Mike and I actually went 68 for 68 this year, which I've done it once before. I know this was your first time.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
It's awesome. It's a great feeling to know that you got the bracket right. If I could do 2 things, and that's have great conversations with people on social media and then select all 68 teams into the field, I'm okay with Clemson being a 7 instead of an 8 or Missouri being a 10 instead of an 11, that kind of thing. I'm okay with taking those losses. The bigger thing is you're having these discussions, you're educating people. And when you're looking for a bracketologist, yeah, you want somebody that's accurate. And I'm very thankful that this year my 388 on the Paymon is going to be high. Last year, nobody got to 380 even. I know there's going to be some people that probably approach 390 this year. But great year overall, I thought, for bracketology. The community on Twitter is great, and you can follow a bunch of people. It doesn't have to be listen to CBS or listen to ESPN. I mean, ESPN's put out their final one before the freaking games ended today, including the American and the Big Ten. Joe, I love Joe Lunardi. He's great, but at the same time, he just signed off before the games were over.
Yeah.
And he got it right because he did move Purdue up, but come on, stay on, talk with people, have the conversations, and you can find that everywhere. It doesn't just have to be at the top. But my scores will be out on Bracket Matrix here shortly. Like I said, unofficial score of 388. Pretty happy with this year. I had been around 350 the last 2 years, so significant jump, continued improvements. I'll be in Dayton for the first 4. I'll be in Chicago for the Sweet 16 Elite 8. So lots of content still coming. We'll have portal breakdowns and all of that fun stuff as well. So make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon.
Thanks, everyone.